So have you ever thought about what the future looks like in light of the real, genuine you on the inside that you know yourself to be true as? I know a lot of us have been thinking inwardly about, am I being true to me? Like, without all the fluff and the strategy and the outward marketing schemes, the system building and all those things to be seen. It's one thing that a lot of people are having a hard look at right now in the mirror is to say, okay, rather than trying to build a life for me that feels like someone else, or that I'm, quote, supposed to do in this world, especially in Western nations, with the white picket fence and building the home and the family, getting the 3-car garage and all that kind of stuff. Looking forward to retirement at 62 or 65 or 67 so you can get that SSA. I'm not judging that more than I'm saying these are the status quo things that we go through. And if we're not taking a look in the mirror, like a real honest, authentic look in the mirror, then we're going to repeat another cycle. And I know you don't want that, right? None of us really do. But unless we come to the realization that the only way that this is going to happen is me being carried and moved by inspired action rather than strategized egoic action. And you see a lot of these end of the year, New Year's messages that come out and they say, okay, we are going to strategize for 2026. We're going to come up with some new plans and some new strategies and things. And then oftentimes they say, by the Spirit. And really, that's good and well if they're hearing God, okay? Again, no condemnation, no judgment here. Who am I to judge another man's servant kind of thing? But one thing I will say is that the only thing that I have been hearing for years now is deeper surrender and deeper being heldness, being held in by God in every way, shape, and form, mind, spirit, soul, and body, so that I can relax my nervous system enough to be moved by inspired action, to be moved by the Spirit. So often we're taught and trained and conditioned in religion and in our own family structures and society to say that, okay, I am going to do something because if I don't take action, if I don't move, then I can't, quote, move the Spirit. You hear people say, I'm going to move the Spirit. That hasn't worked for me. Been there, done that, wore the t-shirt out until it had 1,000,000 holes in it. You know what I mean? I don't move the Spirit. That's like saying, okay, God, I'm going to tell you what to do. And I get it. They're coming from a place of faith. I take my faith in action and I move the Spirit into where I want the Spirit to go, or I move the Spirit so that we can see good things happen. And that kind of thinking, that mentality is like, okay, I'm getting anxious. I want to see something happen. And if nothing's happening around me, no miracles happening, nothing, quote, good is taking place, then I got to do something. Somebody's got to do something here, I'm going to do something. I got to do it. And then they just say, okay, I'm going to move the Spirit. Yeah, I just found that deep surrender, as much as I know it to be true right now, as far as the level of surrender, is actually what causes the inspired movement of the Spirit to lead me and guide me into all greater truth. And if I'm not led, then I'm not a son. If I'm trying to move the leadment, move the movement, then I might just be using the egoic construct to try to get something going because I'm impatient, or I'm just not seeing something. I'm bored. People are dying all around me on the streets of, Chicago, New York, or LA, wherever you're at. And then we got to do something, let's come up with a strategy. Let's come up with a plan. And I just don't believe that we're in that season. It's not really a season that we're moving into. We're in a full-blown Edenic awakening is what I've been shown. And You may be seeing something different, and that's okay. Everybody's at different levels of understanding, different levels of awakening. But what Amy and I have seen is an Edenic awakening. And what that means is that Eden's not a place, it is a presence. It is the atmosphere of the kingdom of God within you and around you. Eden is an atmosphere of pure 100 unconditional love that we actually started with in our crystalline bodies, our spirit bodies, and then moved into the embodiment of the anatomy that we have now. And then we're going to come full circle. We're starting to move in and see cracks of the light, the golden light, as we're moving into the breaking of the dawn of the day in Eden. And some people say that we're in an awakening of a religious one, or we're in an awakening of, oh, we're going to see another movement like Brownsville, or, some other kind of move of God that is relegated to a denomination. I just don't believe that's happening. Little sparks can happen here and there when we begin to awaken to Eden, and that's a good thing. And then it's mislabeled as, oh, we're in a revival meeting for our denomination or our church. Now, they may not say it that way, but it's kind of like we own this, and then it stops. The minute man tries to go in and own something or control it through their ego and then calling it God is when everything ceases. Because, guys, this is the point of this message, is that we are offering resistance when we try to move the spirit in doing something and calling it faith. Then we put out an egoic resistance without even realizing it, and then things come to a halt. When we're in surrender to that which is rising, Eden is rising in us to call us back to that place of 100% bliss where there's nothing wrong. There is no fallenness. We're going right back to spirit. And it goes way back before any moves of God, way back before any kind of festivals, or way back before any kind of laws that were given, way back before any of it. We're coming to this place of pure childlike wonder and awe and surrendered play and joy and fun. That is the true gospel. That is what Jesus came to remind us of Eden. He's the second Adam. And it's the place that we're retuning to as a harmonic. We started out a musical being, and we're going to end a musical being. A literal harmonic, a literal note that is unbent, standing straight up in the pure bliss of being in tune and in tone. So I believe we're in an awakening of tone. What is the tone we're exuding? What is the tone we're listening to? What is that harmonic that we are being one with, that we're being drawn towards oneness with? And that is Eden. That's pure Eden. And anything else is kind of stopping short and saying, okay, well, had a little shot in the arm, so let's get moving and move the spirit today, And I just think that we would be way better off and more accelerated if we were to just say, okay, I'm completely surrendering this day. Surrender this day. And what do you want to join with? What do you want me to join with you in doing today, Father? What do you want me to join in and do today, Christ? What do you want us to do today, Spirit of God? What are you prompting and leading me to in the hum? What is the hum you want to hum today? And then being moved by that inspired action. It can do way more at an accelerated rate than any amount of warfare, any amount of moving the spirit, any amount of my faith trying to add up to make something happen. It's the surrendering in the, quote, hammock of unconditional love. And then we hear the tone. We begin to hear the prompt. We begin to hear the hum. And then move on that inspired action. That is a beautiful way to open the gates of Eden to enter in as we continue to draw closer and closer to this culmination of all things.